Hello everybody and welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video. Today we are going to be discussing some tips to hopefully help you on your Wuthering Waves journey. These tips will cover everything from gameplay, what you should be doing with your poles, some different movement techniques, and a lot more. So anyways, let's get in to some very useful techniques and tips to help you. So the first one I want to discuss is your summons. So in Wuthering Waves, you're going to have the ability to summon characters, obviously. Now, when you get these characters, you're going to get something in the game called Coral. And with this Coral, you can actually buy character constellations. And these are really valuable. You can obtain up to 2 of these of each character. The limited character that's on the banner will also have 2 of these, and then they cycle out when the character banner goes. As you can see, this character right here has 18 days left, which is the same time that his banner has left. These little wave bands are actually constellations for your characters. So you can essentially buy constellations in this game for any of your 5-star characters. So I highly recommend when you do get this Afterglow Coral, do not rush to spend it on the Lustrous Tides or the Radiant Tide. You want to be saving up your Coral so you can possibly get constellations for some of your favorite characters. For example, Yinlin is coming out in the next update, and you can possibly get 3 Yinlin just by summoning on her banner and then going back and buying 2 more of her. And in the same breath, I would also like to tell you that you should really be saving your Astrite for these limited banners. Of course, you're going to get that really nice banner early on that is going to give you a guaranteed character out of the starting 5. And it's going to be really tempting to use your Astrite on that banner because you do get a guaranteed character. But you have to consider that they're giving us so many Lustrous Tides in the mail, not to mention all the ones we get just from playing the game. You're going to be able to get 80 really easily to summon your character which you selected. I highly suggest saving your Astrite for this limited banner to get one of the limited characters, because let's be honest, the normal 5 stars will probably be outclassed by the next update. The next tip I want to give has to do with exploration. Now, exploration is really important in this game. It's different from Genshin and Honkai because unlike Genshin and Honkai, exploration gives you a ton, and I mean a ton of rewards. If you come to this little shop here right by the teleporter, she will actually give you rewards based on your exploration progress. And these are for all the separate regions of the game. So you want to make sure that you're exploring the world, unlocking all of the waypoints. These help you obviously get around easier. And if you want a super easy way to explore the world, I'll have a link in the description for the Wuthering Waves map, which has everything that you'll ever need. It shows you where the shops are, teleport waypoints, bosses, different materials that you might need for different characters. For example, I believe this iris material, I need to level up my Calcharo. So I can just click it. It will locate me some iris on the map. I go to it, I find it, boom. Now, the next thing I want to discuss with you guys is a little bit of movement tech. Now, movement in this game is really unique. It's actually one of my favorite experiences, and I want to discuss with you guys some of the movement tech. So the first thing to note is that you actually don't consume stamina when you sprint. You can sprint infinitely, which is a really nice change from Genshin and Honkai. However, if you do a little dash while you're sprinting and you click shift or right click again, this will take up a little bit of stamina to make you move a little bit faster. Now, one of my favorite movement techs that you can do in this game is actually something that's really cool, and it unlocks after you get the grapple technique. Now, grappling in itself is really awesome, as you see here, but something you can do with it is that you can actually increase your jump height. So if you jump and then grapple, that is going to basically give you a double jump. You can basically get like a triple jump in this game with the grappling hook. Let me show you. So if you do a jump and then you shift just like that, and then you combine all 3 with the grapple, so you do jump, dodge, grapple, you can basically get like a huge triple jump, which can give you maximum height. And something to note about climbing in particular is that when you see something above you, you're like, how am I ever going to get around that? You see like an overhang or something, you're like, how am I ever going to get around that? It's actually super easy. The character just jumps over it. You see that lantern's in our way? If we just shift and climb up here, the character straight up just jumps over it. So all these overhangs, which are super annoying in games like Genshin, are just not a problem in this game at all. Next up, I want to talk about some combat techniques. Specifically, outro skills, and forte, because you have a lot of stuff on the screen here and it can be a little complicated. So I just want to talk about it quickly. So the bottom bar there, right above our HP bar, is what is referred to as a forte bar. Now, every character has a different way of charging up their forte bar. For example, my character here called Charo charges up his forte bar by using his skill. As you see, when we use his skill, our forte bar is going to increase. Now, when we have that thing at max, we're going to be able to trigger a big attack. You can see what attack it is on different characters by looking at the mouse or hotkey beside it. For example, Calcharo's big attack comes from his hold skill. So when we use it here, it's going to do a big attack and a plunge. And then we're going to lose all our forte. You're going to want to make sure to look at each individual character's forte and discern what it does, because each individual character is different and we can't go through every single one today, but make sure to read over these to fully understand. Next thing is the outro and intro skills. These will happen when a character's been fighting for long enough on the field. They're going to charge that little thing right beside the forte bar. That is our outro skill, and we can trigger it by swapping between characters. When we have the thing fully charged, that means we'll be able to trigger it. So we'll see now, instantly, I'm able to trigger our outro skill for either of our characters. Now, every outro skill, just like Fortes, are different. For example, if we switch into Calcharo, he's going to summon a phantom to support him on the field, and that phantom's going to do crazy electro damage. And as you see there, the phantom arrived. He's gone now, but he was there for a second. But yes, always pay attention to your forte bar and your outro bar. Those are going to be very important in battle. And also, one little last suggestion for battle, which I really think everybody should be doing, is targeting onto the enemy. This is especially important for boss battles, but all you have to do is click middle mouse button and you're going to log onto the enemy, and that's going to be a huge help when fighting bosses in this game to make sure you can more easily dodge and maneuver through some of those more difficult attacks. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is something called an elite enemy, and you can identify these elite enemies by the little red mist around them. Now, there are a ton of these in the game, and I'll link a video below so you can identify them all. But these elite enemies are exceptionally hard to kill. They have more HP than really any other enemies in the game, and they're going to be very valuable to most players' accounts. Now, what do these elite enemies give us? Well, one thing they give us is an echo, which we will see after I kill this guy. So once we kill him, we're going to get a free little echo here and an achievement as well. We're also going to get an achievement. And when you absorb this echo, I believe it's guaranteed to be either a 4-star or a 5-star echo. These elite class echoes are really important to capture, considering they're some of the best echoes in the entire game. So you're definitely going to want to go around and capture as many elite enemies as possible to add to your echo collection. And also, in the same breath, along with the elite enemies, you're just going to want to make sure that you're collecting every single echo that you come across. This is important mainly for the databank, because as you increase your levels of the databank, you're going to be getting these force release components, which increase your max stamina, which is super important. You want to make sure this thing is at least at level 10 so you can get the max stamina possible for every single fight. My next big tip, if you are an early game player, you're going to be getting a resource called the Crystal Solvents. Now, these are something that replenishes your wave plates. Now, you want to be using your wave plates really efficiently. What I would say you want to do is you first want to focus on the main DPS you're using. You want to get them their ascension materials, level up their weapon, and upgrade some of their talents as well. That's going to be your first priority with your wave plates. However, I do not recommend using these yellow wave plates to replenish early on. This is because as you progress and you increase your world level, these little forgery domains and dungeons are going to start giving better rewards. So you see, once we get this level 60 domain, we get better rewards, 70, 80, 90, so on. So if you hoard these in your inventory and save them for later, you can maximize the rewards that you can get from some of these dungeons. So I highly recommend holding on to these unless you are super desperate for a character upgrade. And the last tip I have for every single player is to make the most of some of these early game shops. Almost everything around the main area is very useful. You have the souvenir store, which in here you can get some more pulls. Same thing with the relic merchant. more rewards. Pioneer Association, which we just discussed, more rewards. Even in the synthesis menu, which is how you get food in this game. You can get food, which will give you different buffs. When you raise your synthesis level, you also get even more rewards. So you want to make sure you're cracking down on everything around here. Even the blacksmith is super useful. You can use the blacksmith to craft different weapons in this game. They do cost quite a bit of material, but as we discussed earlier, if you use that Wuthering Waves map, this should not be too hard to farm. And then these little cubes right here, you get from fighting the weekly bosses in the game, Scar and Bellborn. These are the weekly challenges, which you can do 3 times a week, same as Genshin and Honkai. And once you fight them, you can get some of these standard weapon molds to make some of the weapons. And these weapons can be very good for certain characters. They have attack percent subs. I'm personally a big fan of the pistol. This gives a ton of attack percent, and I'm saving up so I can hopefully get one on my Mortefi, but we'll have to see how it goes. For today, that's going to be the end of our video. I hope these tips help you out, and I'm going to see you all in the next one. Peace.